What do we understand everyday distancing to mean?
It's a mysterious one, isn't it? It basically means keep a casual distance while going about your daily activities, but not as intensely as perhaps previously guided. Many companies are turning to those guidelines and using it as a cue to switch over from working from home to returning to the office. In another sign, actually, that the country is normalizing, South Korea's Professional Baseball League began play in a sports staff season of COVID-19. That's something global. There were no fans. They were cheerleaders. They were all wearing masks, and they were dancing to something like 25,000 empty seats in Seoul's Jamsil Stadium. Now, the return to just a degree of normalcy has caught the attention of the United Kingdom. The Deputy Chief Scientific Advisor there praising Seoul for having brought the pathogen under control with contact tracing. It's an approach, actually, that the UK departed from in March. She says that South Korea was a fine example, guys.
And Rish, we're also seeing that India is trying to normalise. I mean, is this such a good idea given that the country has had so many issues in getting coronavirus under control there?
Well, absolutely. I mean, this comes as Delhi's moving, as you say, easing movement restrictions after 40 days of strict stay-at-home orders those you alluded to, perhaps not being actually adhered to. But the more serious stuff here is that jumbo jets and naval warships are going to be used in a huge repatriation mission to bring back thousands of Indians stranded abroad, many of whom have actually lost their jobs. Only those without any coronavirus symptoms obviously will be permitted to travel back. And it is set to be the biggest ever peacetime repatriation exercise in history. Millions of Indians work in the Arab world, particularly in the Persian Gulf, and many have become unemployed during this economic downturn caused by the pandemic.
And Rish, Japan could be about to approve Gilead Sciences' experimental drug, remdesivir. What's the latest on that?
Absolutely. This is, according to Reuters, the health minister there saying that it could be approved as early as Thursday. Meanwhile, Gilead is in talks with leading chemical and pharmaceutical manufacturing companies about them being able to produce this drug for Europe and Asia and the developing world through at least 2022 for a treatment of this disease, COVID-19. And the company is looking at long-term voluntary licenses with several generic drug makers in Pakistan and India, and they would produce remdesivir for developing countries. Also in discussions with the UNICEF to utilize its extensive experience providing medicines to low and middle-income countries during emergency and humanitarian crisis to deliver remdesivir using well-established distribution networks. Of course, this was a drug used in the Ebola outbreak in Africa as well. So it does look as though this drug is getting some traction, even though the jury's out in some countries about its efficacy and indeed whether it's going to be approved in many other countries other than Japan. Well, that's something that we're going to have to really keep an eye on closely.